So, Carrie, you've already been in contact with them? Okay, thank you. Next is a request in here for payment or reimbursement out of the Robert Lustig Memorial Clock Repair Fund to Mike Coop for $24.95.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. And one last thing, need a motion to pay out of the Sewer Capital Reserve Fund $18,950 to Lawrence's Excavating.
Make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. That's it in the book. Does the board have anything else? No? All right, at this time I will open it to the floor for the 15 minutes of public comment. Actually, hang on one quick second. I'm just going to move the microphone so people can hear.
Thank you. Actually, I'm here tonight with the school,
Okay.
and as the school board chair specifically, just to go over something that came up in the budget committee meeting last night. There was a question about. I'm actually just going to back up in case anybody was not here or did not hear. So last night, the school board requested that the budget committee allow us to move the remaining balance from warrant article number 6, which was the $550,000 put towards a number of improvements around the school. We have identified a more pressing improvement, which is the air quality and ventilation system, in order to be able to do some updates to bring our students back into the building. And so the request was made of the budget committee to allow us to move the money into that specific project, because it was a warrant article that outlined very specific improvements around the school. The budget committee did approve that, and at the time, we hadn't quite narrowed down the final amount that was left from the $550,000. In the same conversation, the question was brought up by Ben with regard to where the money from the advanced payments that the town gave the school went, and so we have that breakdown. We also have the list of all of the projects that have been completed and the final amount due, or excuse me, the final amount left from the $550,000. And so I just wanted to go over that briefly so that we could clarify that number and ensure that the public was well informed about the use of that money. The amount of the increase on the first 3 tax payments, you might recall, we requested additional money for the first 3 and then a reduced amount of money in the next 9. There's a fund balance deficit. We've discussed this before. This was due to the over-return of money to the town previously and in previous administrations. That was $365,000. Warrant article number 6 was $550,000, and payroll that would have been paid over the first 4 payrolls in the 2020-2021 period that had to be paid by June 30th of 2020 because of the cuts that happened, of $198,000. So actually, out of the amount of increase in the first 3 tax payments that was given, we are still in a deficit of $273,000. All of that money has been utilized as it was supposed to be utilized. We also just wanted to verify that the HVAC conversion to propane in its various components has happened. The gym roof replacement, the chimney project with the removal of the center and east chimney and pointing of the existing chimneys, and the chimney project removal of the additional work for the center and the east chimney. They were listed twice, I apologize. There is a small remaining balance of the HVAC that has not been invoiced of about 10 grand, and otherwise, out of the 550,000, 376,195 has been spent, and the remaining balance from the warrant article that will go towards the new project that we've identified as most important and pressing of $173,805. So Mary has those documents for you. Do you want to discuss?
Wait a minute. James, hand me one of those. There's 2 different pages.
So I just wanted to clarify so that we were on record as identifying exactly what that money was spent for, what was left, and to confirm that the remaining balance from the warrant article that will be moved to the project for ventilation and air quality is that $173,805.
Okay.
If the select board has any specific questions, you can feel free to join us tomorrow, unless there's something that we might be able to answer now.
Well, I have a question about what you just about what you just talked about. The fund balance deficit. That's the deficit that the auditors found that's the one that the auditors found from years past that was over-returned, that
Correct.
you guys came in and talked about before.
Yep.
And if my memory serves me right, I'm just making sure that, okay. Last year or February, March, whenever it was when this first came up, when it was being discussed, it was talked about that in order to make up for this, there would probably be a warrant article this year to make up for that deficit. But it looks like rather than doing a warrant article, you're using this year's operating budget to try and make up for that. Because you use some of the extra funds that you requested, you use some of that to pay back some of that fund balance deficit. 'Cause the original fund balance deficit was $365,000, and right now your deficit that you're in, including that fund balance deficit, is $273,000. So there has been $60,000 of that deficit paid off from this year's budget when it was talked about doing a warrant article.
Actually, Ben, this is not what that's saying. I apologize. I could have done it a little better. What it is we were saying the reason why we needed $840,000 is because our checkbook was in the hole at the end of the year with a deficit of $365,000. Then we also had to have the $550,000 because, again, that's coming over the payments through the adequacy aid.
Right.
And then, of course, we had to pay the payroll as well. So I'm not saying that this $840,000 is going towards that, but what I'm trying to show you is why we requested it was because we were sitting in a deficit, and there was no way we were going to be able to fund these other projects without having that money, because just getting your tax payment alone and trying to meet the bills wasn't going to work for us, because we were sitting in a deficit at the end of the year. So technically, we have not paid off any of that $365,000. That would happen if we, in this budget, have any leftover funds that we don't spend.
Okay, so, but looking at this, if we were to take this fund balance deficit right out of the equation.
This isn't a fund balance deficit at the bottom. What I was trying to show you is that even though we asked for $840,000, we still had to find $273,000 of our own money, which would be the money from the adequacy to pay for it. So
To pay for everything, including this fund balance deficit?
no,
'Cause
no, that is not paid off. That won't be paid off.
No, but in
I
your,
can't take money to
in your
pay that off.
form right here that you just handed us, you add up the payroll, the 550 for warrant article 6, and the fund balance deficit. You add those up, take away the $840,000 that the town gave you in the 3 payments, and that's what creates this $274,000 deficit
But it's
on this
really
paperwork.
but it's not a deficit, because here's why. Because the deficit coming into this year is still $365,000 and will remain at that unless we have unexpected, at the end of the year, our fund balance is in the positive. That's the only way that $365,000 can go away. What I'm saying to you is we had to ask for money up front because we were already short on cash at the end of the year.
Right.
If you really think about it, if I paid all my bills and I wouldn't be able to pay all the bills. We'd be $365,000 short as of June 30th in our account. So I had to request money to cover that. So when we're going through to the end of the year, say we walk in and we are zero at the end of this year on our difference, we're still going to be carrying a $365,000 deficit until we can gain money either through a warrant article or through unexpended funds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I'm talking like currently, not at the end of the year.
Oh, currently, I mean,
Currently, by the form you gave us, currently you technically have a $274,000
No.
deficit.
no, I don't.
Then why did we even get this
Because
form?
what I wanted for you to see was I guess the question was posed, what do we spend $840,000 on? What did we need those 3 payments for?
Right, that was
That's what
above
this
and
is
beyond the normal $543,000 a month?
Which covered other payrolls in those months, but I
Okay,
wanted to
well, you
show
got payroll here as part of the $840,000, not the regular
But
month.
that was the final payroll I had to pay out to all the employees that were terminated. That I would have paid over the 2 months in July and August, so I wouldn't have needed that $198,000 because I would have had it through your tax payments, hopefully. But we were really, really tight. That deficit is really catching up to us now.
Okay, I have no other questions. Jack, did you have something?
I did, and it just had to do with some of the projects. You're running short of money to do the ventilation in the grammar school, correct?
Yes.
All right. Why wasn't that taken care of priority 1 on top of any of these other pet projects?
Well, they weren't really pet projects, Jack. I'm just
Well,
gonna say- but anyways,
these
okay.
projects.
Yeah, I know. It was on our list, but it had to get bumped because we didn't have enough money in our
I
capital
can't, I'm sorry, I
reserve.
can't hear you.
Oh. It got bumped because we didn't have enough money in our capital reserve to do those projects, and that's where it was gonna come from.
But I thought with the $550,000,
But this project was not in that warrant article. The warrant
Right.
article was very specific to only specific
okay,
projects. That's
I
why.
guess then my question being is, why wasn't it part? The reason, Mary, this is before you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was, yeah.
2 years ago, and Ben could speak of this. 2 years ago, our fire chief had told your head janitor, Ian, that it was a priority that this get fixed. Else, they were talking about shutting the school down.
And unfortunately, Jack, I can't speak for that because I wasn't there. for
That's
that
why I'm
conversation.
wondering, and I know there's numbers out there, you may be part of the numbers that were, they did numbers of attendance
Yes.
compared
That-
to
I'm
the
just
grammar
saying
school
that.
side, compared to the rest of the school, and they knew that there was a problem there because the attendance is so much
Yeah,
higher.
it's been that
because
problem for
people have been
years.
getting sick. So I guess that was my main question is, that should have been on there because over 2 years ago, it was known about, your head janitor's known about it since he's been there because the fire chief of town of Winchester told him, look you need to get this fixed ASAP.
And again, I can't,
No.
I don't have any documentation on that tonight, Jack, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I would have
and like
to
I
go
said,
back.
Ben, being part of the fire department, I'm sure he's been in on meetings on those. So, he probably could speak a little bit more in depth on it, but
Well, and what I would say is, I'd rather have Ian answer those questions, because again, I wasn't part of those conversations, if you know, but,
Yeah, that started back before Ian even,
Yeah, that was
well
before
before Ian
Ian.
even worked there.
right, and that's why I was saying it was before you. And you, I think you've been there longer than Ian, haven't you?
no, only 2 weeks,
Okay.
he's 2 weeks
But,
more
yeah,
than me.
this was started many years ago.
Well, and
but
again, you know,
I do know 2 years
Yeah.
ago it was addressed directly to Ian.
And now it's really come to light with everything that's going on. So, like I said, we're trying to work our way through it and find a way to get it done. And this was a way to divert some money because the third floor it's not a huge priority. So again, that's why we wanted to divert the money to that project. And you know, CARES Act money and a few things like that would be diverted into that project. So, but I wanted to thank you guys for the first 3 extra payments. And I'm not sure, but I think Amy's got for you tonight that I went through the financials, and the payments of October, November, and December we're willing to hold off on, unless, like I usually have with Amy, is an agreement that if I have to need a payroll or something, and it's before I get a payment from the state, that I would then just ask that I could get a little bit of the money.
Yeah.
So, and this time of year, it's easier for a school in December than it is for a town, so.
Right.
Like I said, we try to work with you on that so that you don't have to take as big of a town.
Right. And that was our big concern last week when we talked about it,
Yes.
was trying to not take out a $2.5 million TAN because the interest is going to be ridiculous.
And I don't want you to do that.
Right.
So, like I said, if we can do that for the next 3 months, we'll do that, and Amy and I will be in contact if anything changes. But.
Well, thank you very much. I do have one other quick question. I don't know if you know the answer right off, but roughly when does adequacy aid reimbursement money come in from the state?
It comes in, we get one in August, we get one at the end of October, one at the end of December, and one in April.
Okay.
So, or the end of March to April. Yep.
Okay. That's it.
And just so you know, the first 2 payments are less because they don't want to give us money that they don't have to.
Right. Oh, yeah. All right, thank you.
Jack, just real quick, you're under the impression that Barry did an air quality and ventilation analysis of the school and provided a report?
No, I never said that.
Okay, then we're
I
talking
never
about-
said that at all.
So
What
what
I
did-
said was that the fire chief
Uh-huh,
had brought this to the attention of the head janitor up there.
the facilities manager.
Right, and you can call him what you want, tomatoes, tomatoes. The janitor up there, or Ian, had known about this. And Ben, has he or hasn't he? Because remember the fire chief told us about it.
Well, yeah, but there was, like I said a minute ago, it
Now,
was back
as far
well
as-
before Ian, too.
Right, it has, right.
I believe
So I'm not
Alicia-
saying, I'm just asking, it happened before actually you were on the board.
Yeah, and I just want to be sure that we're talking apples to apples, because the fire chief wouldn't have performed an air quality and ventilation test to ensure the same criteria that we have to now follow for COVID-19.
This is, right.
So
Well, listen,
apples
this
to
is before
apples.
COVID-19.
Right.
Right,
So-
somebody did an air quality
Right.
test. It wasn't the fire chief, but he was,
Right, there
he's
was
the
a
one
test
enforcing.
done. The only difference between then and now is because of COVID-19, those numbers have been elevated.
The criteria has
Right.
changed. Correct.
Right, and that's the only difference. But it was done.
Right. So I guess to go back and you can look at capital planning over the past 5 years or so, that plan has changed as as Ian has been in the facilities manager position and prioritized. At the time when that was brought up, clearly it wasn't on the same priority level because the building is aging and there were other things identified as just as or more important. That has changed because of the current pandemic situation.
Yeah.
So we update our capital plan yearly, and you can see where those various projects have moved off or changed because other things have become a priority. But that plan is available.
I just thought the priority, no matter what the numbers were, pre and post COVID-19, the air quality should still be a priority of the children.
It absolutely, and so
And
is
apparently they weren't,
a roof not
because we
leaking,
decided to
and
change
heat.
over from oil to propane. That was a bigger priority, or tear down the chimney. We're not going anywhere here tonight.
All right.
Please feel free to join.
Lindsay, was that the last of your update for the school? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't want
that
to
wasn't
take any time away. Because I didn't realize the school was here, I will now start the 15 minutes of public comment.
Cool. Thanks,
Okay.
Ben. So Natalie Cavedo, 112 Ashwilla Street. Thank you guys. So I sat in on the broadband committee Zoom meeting on Tuesday. It was quite attended. It was me, Leonard Pickard, Jen. Howe, thank you. You were also on the call for a little bit. Gloria was there as well. And they went over quite a few things. We would like to get the broadband committee rolling. First thing I'm going to ask is that we meet every other week here, that you guys would allow us to meet here every other week. Is that okay? Is that something that can be voted on?
Well, it's something the broadband committee themselves have to vote
We
on.
have to decide where and when.
Okay.
The committee itself has to decide all that and appoint a,
Check with me because we have so many other things
Right.
going on.
right.
So when can I sit down, Gloria, and,
Well, the committee has to meet, did the committee appoint a chair or anything like that?
We haven't done any of that
Right.
yet.
Okay, so the committee needs to,
I was waiting for all the oaths to be finalized. And
right, now that everybody's finalized, if maybe Carrie, can you email?
I'll email everybody to get in here and get sworn in.
Yeah,
And then Gloria, you're in the email, so you have everybody's email. So then once everybody's sworn in, Jim will tell me, and then you can shoot out an email to everybody and set up a time and a day that works.
right,
okay,
Let me know, so we're not double booking,
great,
right.
and then you guys can go from there.
wonderful. Is there any way before that meeting happens that I could have the select board authorize the committee to ask the utility for a RFI? Because it takes 60 days for us to get that RFI, and the clock's already ticking. So by the time we get that meeting done, it's like a loss for us. We're trying to partner with Hinsdale.
I don't think requesting information is something that we have to give permission for the committee to.
I wanted her to be upfront and let you guys know what was going on, so.
Right, and I don't believe it's something that we have to give permission to the committee to do. However, the committee has
Might
to.
have to have me reach out, being that I'm in town.
Right.
Right, it has to be a town employee.
Right, which is fine because it's town committee and it's an advisory committee, so the committee advises to Carrie. And, I mean, if the committee votes to reach out to Comcast or Eversource or whoever they're reaching out to,
Yeah, I just wanted to make
They-
sure all the boxes were crossed and checked before
yeah.
we went
they
ahead.
then the committee just reports to Carrie and Carrie reaches out.
Okay, no, that's it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So, Jonathan Gallup, I just wanted to talk about Mike's proposal for the tasers.
Yep.
I would hope that you guys, next time you ever consider something like that you would find some more information, because he didn't know how long the tasers lasted. And I would think, I could be wrong, but it's kind of like a car. If you hang on to it and then you pay it off, you save the money, and then you can buy another car with that money.
I made the motion on that, and mostly because I was on the board when we had to replace them a couple years ago, and we had to replace them because the ones we had were only, I don't remember, 5-6 years old, but we could not get parts for them. Like, so the ones that were still working work well still, but the ones that broke, we pretty much had to throw in a trash can because the company literally stopped making everything. And
Now, did you guys save enough money over, because eventually you guys own those tasers, right? You're not paying on them.
Eventually we own them, but the contract that we're in with them, is basically, we can own them, but we have the option, it's basically like leasing a car. We have the option of every
Yeah,
3 or 4 years, trade them all in for the newer model.
You end up losing money over a long
Continue
period
making
of
the
time.
payments, but it ends up being like $400 a year per taser.
That's only my my
Right.
recommendation is to
Right.
get that information.
No,
'cause
no, and it makes
leasing,
sense.
You're spending more money. I mean, yeah, you're getting new stuff, but you're spending more money over a period of time. So.
Right, no, it does make sense, but. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
I'll make a motion to go into non-public.
Under RSA 91A32, little c, and did we have anything else?
I have Pauline's letter of resigning. So
Right,
that's-
which is B,
Thank you.
B and C. Did somebody second that motion?
Yeah, Jenny did.
Okay, Jack,
Aye.
James, Chan, Gloria, Ben, aye. We're now in non-public.
What do you have there, man?